Hi and welcome back to the Ultimate Linux Newbie Guide. Today we're going to be talking about how to install Solus OS. We're going to be talking a little bit about what Solus OS is and how it's slightly different to the usual Linux distribution. Just quickly, on our website here you can check out our website for everything latest, greatest about Linux, all of the information you'll need to get into Linux. From choosing, using, and learning Linux all the way through. So it's the Ultimate Linux Newbie Guide. If you haven't checked this out already, please head over www.linuxnewbieguide.org. We've got ebooks there for free that gives you the introduction to Linux that you need. We've also got all of these in-depth video tutorials, which of course you're looking at one right now, as well as quick tips and our blog, as well as the main chapter guide, the thing that we've been doing since 2001, making the Ultimate Linux Newbie Guide really the Ultimate Linux Newbie Guide on the web. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Solus OS. What is Solus OS? Well, there's a few things that are different about Solus OS and your stock standard Linux distribution. First of all, having a look at the website, solus-project.com, just having a look through here, very quickly, it doesn't mention the word Linux once. All right. In fact, it doesn't even say it's free. Okay, so these are fundamental things that usually you see on a Linux distribution website, like Ubuntu or Debian or SUSE or anything like that. Usually you see something along the lines of, it's a Linux distribution. It says Linux. Okay, here, not a word. In fact, down at the bottom here it says copyright. Now, often the thing about Linux distributions being open source is that we don't use copyright, we use copyleft. We use a publishing freedom, so we can allow open source to really thrive. So is this a bad thing? Possibly, possibly not. Solus is being created by a team in Ireland, I believe, and they've been working on it now for about 2 years from the time of this video. So it's still a relatively new kid off the block, but there's a few differentials that it has, and we'll just quickly show you those what they are right now. So the first thing is Budgie's flagship desktop of Solus. So Budgie is the name of the desktop. Usually people are used to hearing GNOME or KDE or even Unity, which is part of the Ubuntu desktop. Well, they have their own desktop. It's called Budgie. Now, it takes parts from the GNOME 3 desktop, GTK3 widgets and so forth, but they also add their own features. So they have their own sidebar. You can see it here, what it looks like, and also it has a lot of other independent tools, which again you can see here. It has its own package management system. So unlike the ones that you're used to, like Red Hat's RPM method or the Debian apt-get or depackage method, it's completely different. It has its own one, not based on AUR, not based on anything. It's its own package bundling methodology. And there's some ways that might be better, and we can talk about that later on. But yeah, head on over to their website and see why the technology is a little bit different. You can see the Budgie menu here looks a lot different to the usual GNOME menu. Raven is the sidebar, which they've completely rewritten from scratch, and then obviously all of the sort of other little nice to haves that they have in there. Now, without further ado, let's get on and show you what the Solus desktop is. So first of all, we'll walk through the installation of Solus, and then we'll look at the desktop itself. So by clicking on the download button on the Solus website, you can see that there is a couple of options for downloading. There is 2 installations. In fact, there's standard Solus, and there's the there's the Solus Mate desktop. If you have older hardware, or if you prefer a more traditional looking Linux desktop, then you can use the Mate distribution. However, if you want to get the experience of what Solus is and why it's different, then I wholeheartedly recommend using just the Solus download, which is here. Choose a mirror from which to download, which is closest to you. So you've got the America, San Francisco here, and we've got 3 locations in Europe. Alternatively, you can download a torrent of it, and sometimes that is quicker. I tried downloading the torrent earlier on and couldn't find one torrent metadata magnet transfer. So unfortunately, I couldn't download it that way. So yeah, just be aware of that. Also, to be aware, the community icon symbolized by a blue means that it's not an official repository. If you're in doubt as to the genuinity, if that's a word, of your downloads, then you can use the MD5 checksum tool, which in the Linux command line is just MD5 sum, and you just run MD5 sum against the ISO file which you download. If it comes back with this number, you know that you've got a genuine ISO copy. So click on the downloads link there, it will download to your desktop, and then obviously you can get started with putting that onto a USB stick or a CD-ROM. Just FYI, if you don't know how to install an ISO file onto a USB stick, which is usually the preferred way of installing these days, yep, the Ultimate Linux Newbie Guide has the information you need. So if you go over to Chapter 5, Installing Linux, there's a bit of a tutorial there. If you scroll down the page, unpacking the ISO file to a USB stick, you can see how to do it with Microsoft Windows here, and there are other guides within the website which show you how to do it. So just quickly search for USB here, and you can see, for example, if you've got a Macintosh, shows you how to put the ISO image that you've downloaded onto a USB stick so you can boot it. So just head over to the website linuxnewbieguide.org, and the information you need on installing it is right there. Okay, now I've got the USB stick set up. I've got the ISO image burnt to the USB stick, and I've booted up off the USB stick. Again, any information that you need to know about how to do that, just refer to the guides on the Linux Newbie Guide website. In a matter of perhaps 20 seconds on this PC, I managed to get that live desktop started up. So what does that mean? It means you can have a play about with Solus straight off the bat. You can see what it looks like without actually having to install it. So that'd be great for you if you want to, just check it out and see whether the distribution is the right choice for you. Perhaps you're already running Linux and you want to move over to Solus, or maybe you want to install, but you're not quite sure you want to leave Windows yet or Mac OS, and you just want to play about with it. This is a great opportunity to do so. You don't need to install it, just play with it here with the live CD. They call it a live distribution. So yeah, you have it, by all means, you can quickly see what applications come with Solus out of the box. But for now, let's just go ahead straight away with the installation, and we can show you all of that good stuff after the installation has completed. So first things first, you click on the installer icon, which is up here. It's also in here somewhere buried down the list. So when you get that, you can see the options. Really nice, clean graphics. I love the efforts that the team here on Solus have gone to by making nice flat graphics and very clear instructions. So use the live preview. Well, we're already doing that. We don't want to do this, but if we install it to disk, that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, just a few things about the system requirements for the standard desktop, not the Mate desktop. You're going to need a little bit more grunt. You're going to need a fairly modern PC, and just to give you an idea, the minimum disk installation size is 10 gig. Okay, so a lot of distributions these days only need 4 or 5 gig. This one minimum is 10 gig. So you're going to need a, if you're just playing around with it and you're going to install it on a virtual machine like I'm doing here, just to give you an example, you're going to need to make a 15 gig partition or image just to get it installed. So bear that in mind. A bit more storage for this distribution, and also your RAM requirements. You're going to have a need for probably 4 gig, although you could probably run on 2 gig. So just bear in mind these might be a little bit more than you used to. Now, the next option in the installer, as per usual in these sorts of things, is choosing your language. Obviously, English United States is the correct language for me. You can see there's this little ... thing down the bottom, and allows you to see the exhaustive list. For some reason, this scroll wheel on the right hand side doesn't work so well when I use my scroll wheel on my my mouse. I don't know if you can hear me running away. I have to push it an awful lot to make it do things, so maybe that's something. And also that little dot thing is difficult to see, so just be aware that is where it is. This one, where are you? Find my location automatically. Very scary. It can find out that I am indeed in New Zealand. There you go. You can obviously tell it yourself. Now, this one here, just like the English language I chose earlier on, we're talking about which keyboard layout I have, and obviously I have an English US type keyboard. And obviously you can see here that the types of keyboards, none of them match English US. Again, this tiny little dot down here, you click on that and it expands it. Don't really like that. It's quite difficult to see, so just bear in mind that that is hidden down there. And obviously English US not at the top of the list, so just bear that in mind as well. It's chosen the correct time zone because it knows what my location is, so I'll just click forward there. I've made a 16 or 15 gig partition just to demonstrate this on my VirtualBox here. Now obviously if you have Microsoft Windows installed, you're going to need to install it alongside unless you want to completely overwrite your Windows system. Information about how to dual boot your system is on our website, as you'd expect. Okay, so I'm just going to say next here. Logical volume management is something, unless you are a more advanced user and you want to be able to grow and expand or reduce the size of your partitions at a later point in time, that's the sort of thing you would use LVM for. In this case, I don't need to, and in most people's cases, you don't need to either. But if you're growing and shrinking, that may be a thing that you might want to do. You can also encrypt the installation, but it looks like you can only do that if you select LVM, which is interesting. Okay, on to the next step. Choose your host name. I'll call it Solus. And here's the install the bootloader, so it'll boot up properly. Username Linux newbie. Real name alternate Linux newbie guide. Put my password as a really strong password. Okay, add that now. Just to show you there, oops, gone back too many times. It'll have administrative capabilities there, so just bear in mind that this particular user, the first user that you create, is effectively the super user or the administrator of the machine. There's a little summary of everything that has been chosen. Let's press the install button. Let's go. Okay, that just means it's going to delete everything on my computer now. So you can see here the copying process. It goes pretty fast on this machine, I gotta say. I mean, it's you know, an 8-core machine. It's pretty zippy, but the process even on a slower machine is still pretty decent. So yeah, it's not slow by any means. The way that they've written this is pretty good stuff. I'll just speed up this video so that it goes through here, and then once it gets to the end, we'll take it from there. Okay, the installation is now complete. You can see it's just finishing up. The only thing left to do is restart into our new system. Let's do that now. Okay, well, it was really quick. The installation's done. It was very straightforward. And now we're at the login screen. So I'll just enter my really secure password here and wait for the desktop to start up. And here's the desktop. So let's have a quick overview of the Solus desktop. Before I begin, just a few things to note. Obviously, we've gone through the system requirements, but something that might be interesting to know about Solus is that unlike a lot of Linux distributions which have a steady release cycle, Solus is a bit different in that it is now a rolling Linux distribution, meaning that every time you do an update to the system, it updates you to the latest version of the OS. So there's not actually any need to go off and download or upgrade to the newest distribution. It always keeps going to the latest version. More information about all of these sorts of aspects are available on their website. It's quite a lot of up-to-date information on the blog, so I'll allow you to browse that in your own time. So let's just, you can see obviously there the Firefox web browser comes out of the box installation wise. And this quick taskbar is obviously available at all times, and you can see that Firefox is right up there. This is Hex Chat, which is an IRC chat, and there's also the VLC media player, which a lot of people will be familiar with. And then there's the Rhythmbox music player, which a lot of people running GNOME or so forth will be familiar with already. Now, over here, this is where it starts to get interesting. The first thing that hits me is this unread notifications. This is different from the notification center that some of you may be used to within GNOME 3 or KDE for that matter. Down here, you can see that this is their own implementation of notifications. It's not taken from GNOME and it's not taken from KDE. It's entirely different. And you can see it's pretty nicely made. I mean, it's got information clearly visible to see. So you clear them just by clicking on one button. And I think you can change, you can change the overall look and feel of Budgie itself from this menu. I'll come back to that in a moment. So this is the notification panel. Straight, quick, easy access to settings, to lock the system, and to even log off right from within this one panel. On the applets side of things, this is also really cool. So the applets allows you to see aspects that you may be familiar if you use Mac OS, for example. So Mac OS has the sort of notifications sidebar down the right hand side. It's very similar to that sort of idea. You can see the sound adjuster here, and notice that the sound icon goes up and down as you adjust that. And you can see the information regarding the sound system right here as well. But more importantly, probably for us, is the calendar. It's possible to add further applets to this, but right out of the box, this is what it looks like. Right, so let's just have a quick look over other aspects of the notifications, or this top panel here. Power settings, you can quickly get into power settings. Obviously, it just opens up the overall settings system, which effectively is the GNOME 3 settings panel. Obviously, the icons have been redrawn and recreated for Solus. They're very pretty, as with all of the user interface settings here. So if I want to change the background, I just choose one of the nicely delivered Solus backgrounds. So I like the look of this one here. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Power, lockout, hibernate, you name it, all the options are there. I can choose the time and the date and log into my calendar and so forth. So calendar here is the default GNOME calendar, which is getting an awful lot better over the time. And so, for example, if I want to put my own Google calendar in there, it's just a click away, as well as OwnCloud and Microsoft Exchange as well. So seeing the maturity of this system coming along is really nice to see some sort of enterprise support, which people have been asking for and thinking that they're going to have for a long time now, and it hasn't really been around. So Solus is making this, it's joining it all together in one very nice desktop experience. And I think that's the general idea with Solus. I think Solus is a platform which is designed for the desktop user. It's designed as something which kind of removes the word Linux from itself, and I think that's pretty deliberate. What they're trying to do here is say, this is a desktop operating system. This is for normal users, not for any sort of geeks out there. It's just for people who want to do stuff with a computer, browse the web, do their email, and do things without so much hassle. It's pretty straightforward. Everything's really clean and well laid out. And you'll notice this even more as you go through the applications, which are throughout all the different menus here. Okay, so let's have a look at how we go in and update things and how we add more components to our Solus system. So the Software Center, if you use Ubuntu or anything like that, you should be familiar with the idea of going into some sort of app store on a Mac OS machine, and similar on a Microsoft machine. Linux came out with that idea first. It's great to know, but Solus takes it to another level. It looks really clean and really nice. It's categorized everything really smartly, and you can see here it goes right into drawing down little categories. Very clean, very straightforward, very quick. So if you want to get some Office software, you just click on here, and then boom, you've got your Office software. Really easy to install. So if there's something that you don't have there that you need to have, chances are you can get to it just with one simple click. And you can see if there's any updates as well, security updates. So if I want a required update, there's 29.9 megs to download. I'll just press update. It's probably going to ask me for my password. No, it's not yet. There it is. And there you go, 36 operations pending. Really, really straightforward and very nice looking as well. So I'll minimize that. Something I find a bit odd day one is, hello, where is my application running? Like, where did it just go? You know, it's disappeared. It's not there anymore. It is. It's just, you know, quite well hidden when you minimize things. It's kind of difficult to see. I don't know if you can see that blue line just above the download, the software center there. That indicates that the application is running. Mac OS does the same thing. These days it puts a little tiny dot underneath the application in your dock. Exactly the same thing. You can see it's drawing on a lot of cues from different operating systems, a lot from Mac OS, and a lot from Windows and other Linux distributions as well, and putting all the best bits, I guess, together. The same. So let's just launch another application. You can see it drops it in over here, and if we minimize it, you can see it's just gone up there. So we close it, then it should disappear. Yep. Okay. So what else do we have here that will be of interest? The usual sort of tools that you would expect. It's got a PDF viewer, document viewer, all your passwords and keys are in this nice application. And as far as I can tell, I can't remember or can't see. I haven't seen something like this in GNOME 3. Although I'm quite happy to bow down to other people's superior knowledge, maybe if they know GNOME 3 better and have a distinct utility regarding passwords and keys. Everything from the system settings is available also through that menu there on the left hand side, as opposed to going up to the Raven control panel up here. And you can go and look at the sound and video. We've gone through that already. It's really Spartan when it comes to Office. No OpenOffice, no LibreOffice, no Abbey Word, no nothing. Really Spartan, which is strange to have a distribution which has no application installed for using, writing Word documents or whatever. So that one's kind of a bit strange. I'm not quite sure why they chose to not have any Office productivity software in place, because that could be a stumbling block, I guess, to new users. Notification Center, you can see it's working away quite well. This recent is very similar to the Mac OS recent items, and also the usual locations, which you can imagine. You get the idea. What I do like about the visual aspects is the transparency. You can see here the grey sidebar is actually a little bit opaque. It's really nice. These sort of effects are throughout. It's really, really nice. It's really clear. It really shies away from looking and feeling like a Linux machine, but obviously we know it under the hood. It's still Linux, which we love and know well. So the package management system, completely different to any package management system you've seen before. They use their own sort of, not proprietary, but their own specific package management system. And I believe, but I'll just have to take the word on it, the particular package management system they use is very up to date, and all of the new applications that are out in the world are very up to date through the package management system that Solus uses. So there you go. There's a quick introduction to Solus OS. It's not your usual Linux operating system. It's very user-friendly. So by all means, check it out. If you've got any questions, please hit us up in the comments, and please support our website www.linuxnewbieguide.org, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot.